Hey, what's going on? This is Troy, and this is the Planet 76 podcast, your source for Sixers news, highlights, hot takes, and more. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, everybody, to Planet 76 podcast. I am your host, Michael from Trust and Love, with my co-host, Troy. This is going to be a little brief episode, I would say, just to kind of recap and preview some upcoming things in Sixers land. And if you didn't know, this is a brand new podcast, 76ers, as the title states. So make sure you subscribe. Follow us on Instagram as well, just Planet 76 podcast. On the road to 200 followers. So make sure you drop a follow. And we drop weekly episodes, and this is our episode 12.
Episode 12.
There it is. So we're going to be talking some draft thoughts, some Bradley Beal thoughts, and, of course, the one and only Ben Simmons. He will never stop being talked about because he's a player that brings a lot of attention with his name and his play. So we talk about him.
Every episode. Yeah. Every single episode, Ben Simmons is a staple of Planet 76.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, we're going to get into it today. I'm excited for this one. We had just in case you didn't know, we had a guest last time, our first guest on the pod in episode 11, Justin from Sixers Unite. He came on, and his Instagram page, or Sixers Unite on Instagram, his page was getting close to 9K. I took a look. He's like well over that. So I just want to say that we had a small part in getting Justin to 9K.
If you want some extra followers to your social media, hop on the podcast. We can help you out.
Exactly.
We have a pretty I don't want to say cult following because it's only 200 followers, but pretty slimmed down following. So if you get more followers from being on our podcast, it's not a coincidence. Just saying.
Give us a follow. Give him a follow. We're going to get into it today. So let's start with the draft. So we're recording on a Monday. A little weird, but the draft is on Thursday when we usually drop episodes. So I want to get this out in time. NBA draft Thursday the 29th at 8 o'clock. Sixers have the 28th pick. Right now, as it stands at recording time, the Sixers have the 28th pick and I think the 50th
at 10:05 p.m. on Monday, July 29th.
26th.
26. Where am I?
Oh,
Whatever.
The 26th.
Don't even.
Sixers still have those two picks. I think that's it. I looked really quickly.
Yes, they have one the second. I mean, they have one first round, one second round pick. Yep.
Do they keep those?
It's just so hard to tell right now. I seriously don't know. I mean, would it shock me if they trade them an hour before the draft? No. Would it shock me if they keep them? No. Would it shock me if they trade them tomorrow? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's just the week leading up to the draft is filled with so much uncertainty for really every team. I mean, mostly lottery teams, but also teams with any pick, really. So I have no idea. This is something that I seriously have no opinion on, which is surprising because I have an opinion on a lot of things.
Yeah, in years past, like you would expect, or like this is the first time coming into the draft, I feel like, as a Sixers fan in recent memory, like there could be something big happen. Do I necessarily foresee that? No, but like, you know, in previous years we've traded back a few picks, we've traded up a few picks, like no big deal. You know, if there's something that happens, I don't know that it's going to be that necessarily. I think there's a better chance that they stay put rather than make a small move. And are you really going to, I mean, is a Damian Lillard, Bradley Beal kind of thing going to happen over the next couple days while Damian's over in Japan? And, you know, I don't know. And there's a lot circling around Bradley Beal. Like you said, we're going to get into some news on him. But for the sake of what we're doing, we're going to preview the draft for the Sixers as if they keep the picks.
Yes, definitely.
So any idea, and I jotted a few names down as to who I've seen around mock drafts and things. Anyone that you're like, I want him or something like that?
Well, one name I noticed we have in common between some guys that we are interested in is Tre Mann, guard from Florida. I like Tre Mann. I think he's a really solid prospect. And like I said, I noticed that me and Troy both have him as a notable player that the Sixers could pick. I made a post Thursday, I guess now, because and Tre Mann was one of my prospects as well. In addition to Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, I also put Josh Christopher on that list. He might go higher than 28, so that may not be realistic. But I like Tre Mann. If the Sixers keep the pick, I would have no problems with them drafting Tre Mann. Although they're a little guard heavy, but you know what? You want talent. The Sixers aren't really in a position of, oh, who fits better, whatever. Like, Sixers need talent. Obviously fit is great, but they need talent off the bench.
I like Tre Mann too. They're all guards you see on these mock drafts.
Yes.
Not
a ton of forward depth, which not surprising, but
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because, again, if the Sixers roster stays the same, which I don't know if you or I foresee that, at least start of the season, how would a man or another guard, Quentin Grimes, Deuce McBride, like how do they?
I don't know if you heard. That's what I was getting to. The Sixers are a little bit guard heavy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I didn't hear that.
Yeah. Well, it's all good.
Yeah. So how does that work?
I still do like Tre Mann though.
If Shake and Maxey are still fighting for minutes, obviously we don't know how it's going to work, but if they get a guard and all of those guys are in the backcourt on the bench.
Yeah. I think maybe the Sixers, if they keep the pick, maybe they'll have the intention of trading one of those guards in a package away, so that they'll maybe reduce the guard depth a little bit and give Tre Mann some time, because they did draft him. So this is hypothetical, but they did draft Tre Mann, so why not give him some time to shine? Put him on the roster.
Right.
Let's see what he does. Now, I'm only saying this if the Sixers trade Maxey or Milton in a deal for a star, because that's what it's going to take to trade these guys as well, because teams want these guys.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair assessment of, okay, they draft a guard in the first round who's likely going to get minutes or fight for minutes. But to be fair, if this team sees a possible trade down the road closer to the season for a Bradley Beal, for a Damian Lillard, where you're packaging one, maybe two of those guards, then it's almost like no loss, or a little less of a loss. Yeah, exactly. So that backcourt depth, if they draft a center in the first round and then they get rid of two of their guards, then their backcourt depth is no more. So that's an interesting point that I hadn't even necessarily thought of beforehand. So Tre Mann's one. The guy I'm looking at, of course, wearing the headband of the team, West Virginia.
I just noticed that a few minutes ago.
Deuce McBride. He's my guy. So I would freak out. I would run around the streets.
Is he projected to be a first-round pick?
Crazy. Yeah, so there's one article I read. He's projected 28th to Philly. There's one he's projected 30th to the Jazz. There's one I saw just 3 minutes ago, he's projected to go 15th in one. To the Pelicans. So we'll see. Yeah, he was one of the late guys to finally make a decision to enter the league. I was upset. But if he goes to Philly, I'll be very happy. Have a guy like that go from my favorite college team to my favorite pro team. He's good. He's a little different from the other guys. Like Quentin Grimes can shoot the ball. Tre Mann can fill it up. Deuce might be one of the best defenders at the guard position. He's a very good mid-range player for a point guard. And then he can shoot. But I don't.
Is he a lefty? He strikes me as a lefty.
No, not a lefty.
Oh, I don't know why.
Yeah, so if he can shoot, but he's not going to be a 45% 3-point shooter. You know what I mean? He'll be middle of the pack, league average or a little above. But he gets it done on the defensive end. A lot of these guys are all underclassmen, 20 years old. Deuce only played a couple years, I think. There's a guy from VCU they're looking at that's only played a couple years. A lot of underclassmen, but that's kind of the way the NBA works nowadays. Who's just out of curiosity, who's your player in this draft? Not for the Sixers, but who are you that dude's awesome? Is it Cade?
Honestly, I really like Jalen Suggs. I think he's a really solid player. and whatever team ends up getting him is going. I mean, he can play both guard positions. Honestly, he played point guard at Gonzaga, but Gonzaga, whatever. I like Jalen Suggs a lot, so that's my guy. I also like Luka Garza. He's probably gonna be like a second round pick, but I like him a lot. I like what he could possibly bring to an NBA team. I know he's a little slow for a big man, but I mean he's a stretch big. That's what the NBA is shifting towards. So he fits the mold perfectly. And
who was that?
He's not a great defender, but Luka Garza from
really?
Iowa.
Yeah. I didn't hear.
And then I also mentioned Jalen Suggs.
Jalen Suggs, I
like Jalen Suggs a lot.
Can't go wrong.
I was mentioning he played point guard at Gonzaga, but he can play both guard positions. He's a very, very good player.
Yep.
So
well, Gonzaga's going to have they're going to have two guys go in the top 15 with Corey Kispert.
Yeah, Corey Kispert and Jalen Suggs.
Sharpshooter. Corey's just I think he's a beneficiary of the way the NBA has turned over the last few years.
Yes.
I don't think he's even considered first round of 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, he fits the mold now. I do like Cade. I think he's going to have a very, very good career. I like Suggs. I like Evan Mobley out of USC, the big man.
Yeah, I like Evan Mobley too.
But my favorite, outside of Miles McBride, my favorite player in the draft is Davion Mitchell out of Baylor. That dude is good.
Yeah, man, I like that.
He's got so much intensity. He plays so hard. He might be a better defender than McBride even, and he plays a lot like Donovan Mitchell. They wear the same number.
Yeah, they look
alike.
I know it might be kind of corny, but they play similarly.
Yes,
and they look alike as well.
They look alike. They wear the same number. They have the same last name, and their first name starts with a D, and they're not related. And it is. They're very, very similar. But I like him a lot. He's probably my favorite guy in the NBA draft.
Solid.
Got a national title under his belt, and then declared for the draft shortly afterwards. So, anything else for the Sixers? I mean, that's. Let me ask you this then. That's saying, okay, Sixers keep their picks. Again, if they do not, and something happens, what's it gonna be? You give me some off the wall prediction of Sixers lose their pick, Sixers move up, Sixers move back, Sixers trade for Damian Lillard.
Sixers move up to 20 and take take Corey Kispert somehow.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what you've looked at or what you've heard or what you've seen. Is there anything?
I don't know. Nothing. Again, like I mentioned earlier in the episode, I don't know what to believe now. So even if I read something that's true, I probably won't believe it.
Right.
I mean, I'm not really sure at this point, and I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't see a blockbuster trade happening on draft day.
Yeah.
We'll see. But again, if they draft this year and then they, are to go after a Lillard or a Beal a couple weeks later, you can't offer the pick anymore. It's gone. It's,
Right. That's why I think a lot of people, especially, and we're going to get to it with this Ben Simmons thing, but a lot of NBA insiders think that the major deals that are going to happen are going to be within the next couple of days before the draft night because of the picks and the draft and the all the assets and stuff. So part of me thinks that the Sixers could do something with the picks before or on draft night, because last year the Danny Green trade went down on draft night and the Seth Curry trade went down on draft night.
That's right.
That's what makes me think, hey, maybe Daryl Morey will do it again and then move Simmons, who, I mean, I don't want to say in the same fashion of Al Horford, but meaning the fans were kind of upset at these players.
Right.
They didn't really perform well. So
that
again,
is a good
I'm
point.
not comparing those two because Ben Simmons is miles better than Al Horford. But I mean, you get what I'm saying, right?
No, absolutely.
At least
not that I forgot, but I didn't think about. Again, Seth and Danny, two key contributors, are two new starters on the team.
Literally hours apart. It was before draft night. On Danny Green trade, and then I think it was the 50th pick, or it was the 30th pick because they drafted Tyrell Terry with the 37, and we got Seth Curry, and they got Josh Richardson.
Right.
By the way, I called that trade too.
Did you?
I'll send you the thing later, but
Yeah.
I basically called that trade.
Let's
Yeah.
go. Yeah, no, that's very true. As much as I hate to mention Al Horford and Ben Simmons in the same sentence, people knew Al Horford was gone. Not saying we know for a fact that Ben Simmons is gone, but like, there's obviously been a ton of talk about it.
Yeah.
Man, that'd be wild.
Yeah.
So, speaking of Ben Simmons, let's dive in. What's the latest on him? Where do we want to go?
So, and I actually listened to this podcast. It's Adrian Wojnarowski, Zach Lowe, both NBA insiders. I mean, obviously Woj is the guy.
Yeah.
But they were on a podcast together that they do pretty often when there's big things like trade deadline, draft, free agency. And it was on a podcast, and they talked about Ben Simmons. I mean, mostly things we already knew, but Sixers will be active in trade markets this week for Simmons. And again, big exclamation point on this one. They don't feel like they need to move Simmons because, I mean, let's be honest. And this is what we have in the notes next. If there's a deal, Morey will do it. If there isn't, he won't. It's that simple.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really up to Simmons because he's under contract, no player option, no nothing like that. So he really has no say if he's traded where he goes. It's up to It's quite literally up to Daryl Morey.
Mm-hmm. So that's the latest on Ben.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to hit you with two reports, and I'm kind of just doing this to make you upset a little bit, just to get you going, get you fired up, because I know you're going to say. So there was one report today that said the Sixers haven't been able to get in contact with Ben.
Yeah, I don't.
What's your thoughts?
I don't know about all that because and I didn't even know that was the thing. Then I saw Kyle Neubeck tweeted basically this is cap.
Yeah.
Don't believe this. This was reported false, and it's just like. I mean, again, can we really believe anything? I don't know, but I don't believe that because. What reason would Simmons have to not call Daryl Morey or respond to calls?
Right.
There was no bad blood. What reason would he have for acting that way? That's what I'm thinking. Someone's trying to stir the pot here. Maybe tank Simmons' trade value or something of that nature.
Yep.
That's just my immediate thoughts on it.
Yep.
That's all I gotta say. Really.
I agree. I think it's bogus. Yeah, I did see that immediately after. I saw something that shot it down, said they've been in contact, and again, whatever that means, whatever that looks like, I mean, I don't think players in the off season talk to their team every single day.
Often. Yeah, exactly.
It is what it is. I mean, I think both sides kind of know what's going on. I mean, as much as we know what's going on, they know that even what you said, if there's a deal there, then Simmons might be shipped off, and if there's not, I don't think Daryl Morey, I don't think Doc Rivers is going to be upset.
Daryl Morey is not going to get finessed.
Exactly.
He's going to make the right deal at the right time with the right team in the right place.
Yep.
And that's it.
And if it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. And I think both parties get that. So that one was just bogus. Second one, saw a report today. You and I both saw it. We talked about it a little bit. The Sixers, I don't even know who reported it, but allegedly, the Sixers offered the Raptors, okay, not the Raptors offered the Sixers. The Sixers offered the Raptors a trade featuring Ben Simmons for Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, and a future first-round pick. At least that's all the names that were mentioned. And the Raptors turned it down despite having an interest in Ben Simmons. They turned down that. Thoughts?
Well, to me, if, again, we're using air quotes and we're using the word that Troy used, which is allegedly word of the day, because we don't know how legit this is. Mm-hmm. So we can't really put much weight into it. And with that being said, if it is real, it would make sense that the Raptors value OG Anunoby so heavily because he's a young player. He has a lot of potential. And I don't know if they'll value Simmons over him. Not saying Simmons is better or worse than OG Anunoby, but what I am saying is that it would make sense for the Raptors to value their guy more heavily than Simmons. And then the VanVleet part, I mean, he's a very good player, I don't know that he's better than Simmons. So I'm not sure why the Raptors would struggle with that part. Which then you get into like, okay, if they really want Simmons, won't they be willing to give up a little more to get him? To me, that seems like they don't really want Simmons, which kind of contradicts things that have been coming out about, oh, the Raptors want Simmons, the Raptors want Simmons. So to me, it's like you don't really know what to believe because there's so much information coming at you at once, and ultimately nobody knows because Daryl Morey is the only one that knows what's going on right now, and I seriously am, and I'm just gonna say it again, like I'm struggling to believe these reports because it's just a lot of it's just smoke, a lot of it is just talk. Nothing is ever really 100% substantial. So I don't believe that it was actually real, and if it was, it makes sense that the Raptors denied it, but then again, it doesn't make sense because if they want Simmons as much as they say they do, wouldn't you be willing to give up a little more to get him? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like,
my answer is I don't know.
Yeah, that didn't make a ton of sense to me. I was surprised when I saw it, but then I was like, okay, I don't know if that's true. And why would that be the first Sixers offer that we see is one with the Raptors featuring Fred VanVleet and OG Anunoby? I mean, the Sixers are saying verbally that they're going after bigger names than that, or they're at least trying to get something better than that. And so it's very strange. I don't believe it either. And I don't know. We'll see. Simmons has been in talks everywhere, not just on this podcast, but everywhere. We'll see if anything happens soon. A guy that potentially, we'll talk about him now in our last segment, is Bradley Beal. Last I've seen on him, he's like reportedly, quote unquote, on the fence about whether or not he wants to stay in Washington, whether or not he wants to request a trade, that kind of thing. There's a lot of teams that I've seen linked to him, whether true or not. Of course, the Sixers. Of course, the Celtics. Apparently, allegedly.
Right. Allegedly. Don't forget.
He said that, or allegedly, Boston's like where he wants to go. Don't know if I believe that at all. The Warriors have been linked to him.
Are they going to give up Jalen Brown for Bradley Beal?
Right.
Yeah, they're going to have to if they want Beal.
Yeah.
Is it worth it?
Exactly.
I think
the
Beal's
Warriors,
better.
The Pelicans.
I think, whatever.
The Raptors as well. The Warriors were like, I think they have the 7th and 14th pick.
Yeah.
And maybe James Weissman in a package for Bradley Beal. And again, that's something that's going to happen soon if that's going to happen.
Yeah, I saw a trade on somewhere, somebody posted a Bradley Beal trade. It was the Well, it wasn't even Bradley Beal. Never mind. It wasn't even Bradley Beal.
Okay, Bradley Beal, what you and I have been strong. I mean, we've talked a lot about packages for Damian Lillard. We have not talked as much about Bradley Beal. Are you personally still Damian Lillard or nobody? Or we can get it, whether you are that or not, we can get into some packages that for Bradley Beal. I mean, is a package for Bradley Beal, is that going to take less from the Sixers, or is it going to be the same amount as it would for Damian Lillard?
Well, if I'm Daryl Morey, I'm realizing that Bradley Beal is nowhere near as good as Damian Lillard.
Mm-hmm.
And by nowhere near, I mean absolutely nowhere near as good as Damian Lillard. And I want people to know that because people on my page, in my comments, people have heavily overrated Bradley Beal.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to put that out there. Anyway.
So
Bradley Beal,
yes, less.
Bradley Beal is not worth as much as Dame in the slightest.
Okay.
If you're going to talk about giving up Thibault and Maxey for Dame, you're talking about maybe giving up one of the two for Beal.
Okay.
And Simmons, of course, and picks.
Right.
Maybe like a George Hill or something, or like a Mike Scott for a whatever. You're not giving up anywhere near as much for Dame. I mean for Beal as you are Dame.
So let's say it's one of the three M's. It's Maxey, Milton, or Matisse. And Ben and a couple picks. So just one of those guys. like you said, would you do it? Are you still team Damian Lillard or nothing?
I just don't know if a Beal and Embiid duo is enough.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you're gonna have Tobias Harris as well. But again, is that enough? And I don't know. I don't know if Beal is gonna be capable of running an offense at a championship level. He's not really a playmaker. Obviously, everyone's a playmaker in their own right because of how good of a scorer you are, how good of a shooter you are, how you draw the defense, all that stuff. But
does he make others around him better?
Does he? I mean, we know he's a great scorer, but is he willing to share the ball? Is he willing to, like you said, make players around him better? Is he willing to be a passer? I mean, these things come into question for me, but for Damian Lillard, they don't. Because I know the answer, and the answer is yes to all of those questions.
Yeah.
He does make players around him better. He is willing to pass the ball. He's a fantastic playmaker, dare I say elite, great passer, great facilitator. I mean, I still feel that I am on the same page as I have been.
Okay.
And obviously, Bradley Beal in Philadelphia, that's great. That's awesome. He's a great player, great scorer, as I mentioned. Again, I just don't know. I don't know if he is the answer. That's all I'm going to say.
Yep, and think about the offense for a second. And I'm not disagreeing with you, but think about an offense that has Bradley Beal, Seth Curry, Tobias Harris, and Joel. Whew.
Pretty lethal offense.
That's tough.
Again, you're probably going to have to. I mean, you may need to rely on Seth Curry a little bit more than you would like. Maybe during off nights, like with Tobias or something. And then you're still, either way, Tobias is probably going to be your third option. Well, definitely going to be your third option behind. Oh, excuse me. Embiid and Beal.
Yeah.
It's
tough. The good thing, again, like you mentioned, though, the good
tough.
thing, hopefully, if something like this were to happen, is that hopefully it's not the same package for Damian Lillard, meaning that you keep one of those Matisse, Maxey, Milton, or you keep two of them. Sorry, you keep two of them. And I agree. I wouldn't be happy if Shake and Matisse go for Bradley Beal or Maxey and Matisse go. Yeah. So the good thing
too smart.
is you keep one of those guys, two of those guys. If that were to happen, Damian Lillard, we give up more, and we're okay with that. We're still in that boat. The two of us, I guess. So, of these teams mentioned with Bradley Beal, it still seems like the Sixers have the most to give. We talked about that the other day.
The Raptors could probably overpay a little bit.
People associated with Lillard.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The Raptors could probably overpay a little bit. Although I will say the Warriors, well,
that's an interesting package. If Wizards are willing to go full rebuild.
Yeah, which trading Beal might mean trading Russ, which might mean they're rebuilding, which I think they should do because they're going nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah, so, that's an intriguing thing. And again, if that works financially, I don't know how, but to give up that, again, that's the one that's going to happen like very soon. Yeah. Obviously, because the draft's on Thursday. But pick 7, pick 14, James Wiseman, maybe more, and Bradley Beal to the Warriors.
Maybe like Wiggins, Pascal. Right? I don't know, man. Initially, go down.
Initially, I was like, no, that's not going to happen, but it could, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not a terrible package. Well, 2 top 14 picks in a rebuild. It's a good place to start. So, yeah, and there's just a lot going on. I don't know what teams these guys are going to end up on.
Yeah.
No one does.
So much in the next week, because free agency is in a week.
Yeah.
From yesterday. So we're just going to have a ton of just wildness going on.
There might be people that are Sixers next week that aren't right now. There might be Sixers that are not on the team right now, in a week. So, including this guy right here. This might be the last time he's on set. Ben Simmons of Planet 76 might be his last time. I might have to buy him like a Portland jersey, put it on him or something.
You're gonna have to like draw like Sharpie on the
Yeah.
new jersey for it.
Or just like make him darker skinned, make him
man.
Lillard, and put a number 0 on him or something.
Duct tape and Sharpie 0.
Yeah. I'd be all right with that. Jeez. So Bradley Beal. Again, my biggest concern is your biggest concern, his ability to run offense and to be the lack that there would be at point guard.
Yeah.
If we can say it that way. So
Yeah.
we'll see what Daryl Morey thinks. Is it possible? I thought about this
Time will
earlier.
tell.
Last question for you, and then we'll wrap it up. And this might be stupid. Like, I don't know if this is even possible financially. Is it possible to get Lowry and Beal? Like, is that even remotely in?
I mean, if the Sixers let Danny walk, or I'm sorry, sign and trade,
yeah.
throw in George Hill's throw in George Hill's contract, maybe a young guy, some picks, get Lowry, Simmons, or I mean, I don't know what other deals would be out there, but and then a Simmons, other young guy, multiple picks for Beal.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it would work financially. It could.
So like Simmons and Maxey for Beal, and then,
maybe like Hill, Milton, Danny Green, a lot of picks for Kyle Lowry.
Then we have our point guard. We still have Seth Curry. We have Bradley Beal. We have Tobias Harris. We have Joel Embiid. I don't know.
I mean,
I'd as much as I don't like Kyle Lowry.
That's a really good team.
That's a good team, and that erases our concern at the point guard position like that.
Dude, could you imagine if we just broke this open and Daryl Morey does this and makes
all
this
of that,
happen?
half the team gone.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Who knows?
Wow.
I mean, I haven't seen anybody say that, but I haven't seen anybody else voice as much concern that you and I have about a 2-guard coming to Philly for Ben Simmons.
The craziest thing is the trades that happen, you never hear about it.
Right.
They just happen. Like the Valanciunas Steven Adams trade today.
Yeah, what the heck was that?
Nobody knew that was happening.
That was odd.
And last year, the Al Horford trade, nobody had ever thought that deal was going to happen when it did, or at all. And it did. So, just saying.
Finesse.
It's the NBA, anything can happen. That's all I'm saying. I'm done.
Nothing
else to say.
I'm done. Nothing else to say. Sixers, go do something wild on Thursday. Or draft Deuce McBride out of West Virginia University. One of the two things. Either, do something crazy, go get me Damian Lillard, or get Deuce. A Damian Lillard and Deuce McBride backcourt would be just a miracle. So let's make that happen.
Man. Oh, man.
Whew. That's a wrap. We'll be back to discuss the draft and all that comes with that. Early free agency.
It's going to be a long
free agency
episode
starts when? Next Sunday?
Sunday, August 1st.
Okay. So, yeah, man, there's going to be a lot to talk about. There's going to be.
Yep. We're going to have a long episode, so get your popcorn ready.
Get your popcorn ready. We'll dive into early free agency. We'll dive into the draft and move forward. Might be a new look Sixers. Might not be. We'll see. We'll see you next time. You just listened to an episode of the Planet 76 podcast. Hey, we appreciate you joining us for this episode. Whatever platform you're on, why don't you hit that subscribe button for us, and we'll see you next time.